they're not buying the real estate because they want to live in it.
But like most of the people who are buying assets at some point want to sell the assets at a profit.
People that use Fiat Currency as a store of value, we call them poor. We call them poor.
What the fuck? You're fucking poor. You're fucking poor. Okay. People are so fucking clueless, man. People are so clueless. Wow. Michael Saylor himself fucking said it, man. People who hold the US dollar, you're fucking poor. Let's explain why. Why are you poor? Because I know you have your savings account, you're holding your cash, you're saving money. Why does this mean you're fucking poor? Dude, I don't hold anything in US dollars, okay? And here's why. Elon Musk just tweeted this. These scam coins are getting crazy. Someone just showed me this. 27 trillion in circulation, unlimited supply cap. This means that the supply can be manipulated and increased and altered at any given time. Only one node. 25% of supply minted in the last 6 months. 1% of holders own 30%. JK, that's the US dollar. Yeah, the US dollar is one of the greatest scam coins of all time when we're comparing this to cryptocurrency. And this is exactly why, if you're holding US dollars, you're poor. Because what rich people do is they don't hold their money in cash. They own assets that appreciate in value. And they especially appreciate in value when the US dollar and the currency is debased. So let's talk about this. Unlimited supply cap. Yeah, you know, the supply of the US dollar is 100% completely manipulated by the Federal Reserve. And that's the one node. The one node is the Federal Reserve. By the way, talking about the Federal Reserve, the name itself is a complete fucking scam. Because first of all, it's not federal. It's a private corporation. It's a private entity. And there's no reserves. We went off the gold standard in like 1972, I believe it was. So there are no reserves, and it's a private entity. It's not even a federal entity or a federal corporation. It's a private entity. It's a private corporation. So the name in itself is a fucking scam. The currency itself is a fucking scam, which is the reason why if you are holding US dollar and you're saving your life savings in this currency, you're fucking poor. So what's the solution? The solution is clearly Bitcoin. As if you couldn't tell by the previous 2 videos I made on this channel, we are talking about Bitcoin. The reason why is because the price is back, the technology is ready to go into fruition, and it is ready for mass adoption. Since 2001, the US dollar has lost half of its value every 4 years. So why is Bitcoin the solution? There is a limited supply. It cannot be manipulated. It is an extremely secure system, meaning that because how it works is it's a ledger that's operated by computers. And these computers, it takes a very large amounts of energy to operate this infrastructure, to operate this ecosystem. And all this ecosystem does is it follows the rules of code. So it has an extremely well-regulated supply. We actually know exactly how much supply of Bitcoin there will be, all the way up into all of the Bitcoin is minted, which won't happen until, I believe it's 2141, something like that. It's like not for another 120 years, which we're all going to be dead by then, will the 21 millionth Bitcoin be minted. And there will only be 21 million Bitcoin ever in circulation once they're all created. And right now, there's 900 Bitcoin being created every single day. Coming into the halving, which I believe is in April, a month from now, that's going to be halved to 450 Bitcoin a day, which means that the created supply of Bitcoin is going to be halved in a month, which with all the incoming demand due to the ETFs, which is exactly what we're about to get into, we should see the price double over time. And it's very interesting because with these ETFs, the US dollar used to be on the gold standard, and then it was on the imaginary standard that is backed by nothing. And now we're pretty much just putting it on a Bitcoin standard. So we have 21 million Bitcoin, and then we're just slapping the US dollar onto the supply of Bitcoin, and that's how we're going to determine the value of the dollar from now on moving forward. That is pretty much what just happened. What's very interesting is we have $800 trillion in estimated assets throughout the entire global economy. And out of $800 trillion of assets that will be backed by this entity, by being and owning Bitcoin first, you have the opportunity to secure a very large amount of market share for very little bit of money by buying this stuff today before it's adopted by that $800 trillion market. Do you understand? Okay, great. Bitcoin ETFs, where are they at?
80%, right, of all Bitcoin in circulation has not moved in the last 6 months. You have only about $200 billion that's actually tradable. And so that means that these ETFs sucked up 5% of the entire tradable supply of Bitcoin in 30 days. I mean, Bitcoin is become Wall Street's favorite asset.
Woo! You hear that, guys? Bitcoin is now Wall Street's favorite fucking asset. I wonder why. Because it's not a shit scam coin like the US dollar. It has a regulated supply, so we know exactly how much is going to be minted, created. It's a secure network, which means that every single transaction on the public ledger has been recorded and documented all the way back up until the first transaction of Bitcoin that has ever occurred in 2009. In order to manipulate that, in order to hack the system, you're going to have to manipulate every single transaction on the ledger dating back to the first transaction, which takes more energy than the entire world has to offer. So it's literally impossible to manipulate and hack the Bitcoin network. So the security is there, the transactions are transparent, the circulating supply is controlled by code. This is a currency of trust. That is what we have created. We have created a currency trustworthy based on code, that of which it operates on. The one very interesting thing about Bitcoin is that the people that own it understand the value of the technology and they are not selling. 80% of Bitcoin hasn't been sold in the last 6 months, which means that only 20% of Bitcoin is actually available for purchase. 20% is circulating in supply. And the ETFs alone sucked up 5% of that circulating supply within 30 days, which is an insane number, which means that demand is much greater than supply, which means that price goes up. Understand? So in the context of a spot ETF, so this is what a spot ETF is, because we just had 8 spot ETFs get approved, one of which is BlackRock's, Vanguard's, I don't know the others, pretty sure it was Vanguard. What a spot ETF means is that it deals with the immediate purchase or sale of the underlying asset itself. So this means that if you're investing, $1 million in BlackRock's Bitcoin spot ETF, BlackRock is required to immediately purchase the underlying asset, which is Bitcoin, and they have to hold that Bitcoin in their books. So what this means is we now have a new buyer of Bitcoin, and that is BlackRock, baby, who of which has purchased 228,612.9808 Bitcoin. That is how much Bitcoin BlackRock has purchased since the approval of these ETFs, which is almost $16 billion US dollars in Bitcoin. Dude, this is absurd demand. We have an absurd amount of demand for this product. So if you believe, here's the point I'm putting this information together for everyone, because there are still people that believe that Bitcoin is going to zero. And the fact that you can believe that the SEC created rules and regulations on this new digital asset class. We have BlackRock, Vanguard, we have 8 spot ETFs, which requires the hedge funds to buy the underlying asset and hold them on their books. The fact that you still think Bitcoin has the possibility of going to zero, you are fucking selfish and need to take some of your own time and dedicate it towards learning this new technology that our entire global economy is going to run off of. That's what you need to do. And one great way to start doing that is by subscribing to my YouTube channel. Yeah, go do that.